Hello, guys and girls. My Life Science 7A. We are into our next section, 14, or this is 12-4. We're going to talk about interactions of living things. It's going to be fun. How is energy lost by heat as the organisms live? How do living things interact? Resources in an ecosystem are limited, so we have to fight or struggle for those resources. Competition is the struggle for the resources. So it could be two different organisms of the same species, like two bucks fighting over a doe, or in this case, two large hippos probably fighting over space. They could be fighting over food. It could be two different organisms. It could be um, two different types of predators fighting over the same prey, or two different types of prey animals that eat the same food can be competition. Organisms that are better adapted to the environment will outcompete other organisms and survive. We call that survival of the fittest. This is very close to the chapter that we did on Darwin's evolution. Plants have to outcompete for nutrients. Taller plants with larger leaves tend to black out and take the sunlight away from smaller ones. Some plants have more efficient root systems that can suck up the water faster. Some organisms form relationships to help with this. Predation is a relationship in which one organism will kill and eat another. The predator is the one doing the killing. The prey is the organism being killed. So here you have a water buffalo that's been killed by two lions, and they're feeding on it. The predators are the lions, the buffalo was the prey. The stronger the predator is, the more likely it is to catch its prey. The more likely you catch your prey, the more likely you survive and pass on those traits to your offspring, which is all Darwin's natural selection. Symbiosis. Well, here you have a picture of a clownfish and a sea anemone. We've all seen Finding Nemo, but symbiosis is when one species is living with another and at least one is benefited. So here, the clownfish gets a nice safe place to live. The anemone actually uses the clownfish as bait for other fish to sting and kill. So some other examples of symbiosis can be bees and flowers. You have the bacteria in your intestines. All of these are ways of helping. Now, to be a symbiosis, it has to be two different species. It can't be a pack of wolves working together. A pack of wolves is what we call cooperation, not symbiosis. Now, if it was a wolf working with a mountain lion, which they don't, that could be a symbiosis because they're two different species. All right, ladies and gentlemen, make sure we're going to jump to the reading, and then you guys will hit your questions on the review of 285. All right, so if we jump over to the book, 12-4, How Do Living Things Interact? Some examples. It says explain the interactions between living things, help maintain balance in the ecosystem. Competition is the struggle among organisms for resources in an ecosystem. Predation is a relationship in which an organism kills and eats another. Predator is an organism that kills and eats another organism. Prey is something that is killed and eaten by another organism. And a symbiosis is a relationship between different species living in close association. Usually we add at least one is benefited. Competition. Resources in an ecosystem are limited. Animals sharing a habitat struggle for resources such as food, water, shelter, territory, and mates. Competition is the struggle among organisms for resources in an ecosystem. Animals can compete with members of other species or the same species. In competition, animals that are better adapted to the conditions in the habitat are more likely to reproduce. Plants also compete for resources. Competition for plants is less active than competition among animals. Plants compete for sunlight, water, and growing space. Some plants release poisonous chemicals into the ground to prevent grass and weeds from crowding. The space is used for their resources. A wolf and a bear share the same habitat. What might they compete for? Well, wolves and bears might both eat deer. All animals get energy from food that they eat. Some animals eat plants, whereas other animals eat animals. A relationship in which an organism kills and eats another organism is called predation. An organism that kills and eats another organism is called a predator. An organism that is killed and eaten by another organism is called the prey. Look at 2-12. The spider is the predator, and the insect is about to eat an insect, its prey. In that case, it's the grasshopper there. Predators obviously benefit from predation because they eat the prey. However, the prey species can benefit too. Predators are more likely to catch, kill, and eat the weak, unhealthy animals than the strong. So in other words, we're killing the weak. This means that the strongest members of the population are left to reproduce and pass on their traits to the offspring. Why might predators be more likely to catch and kill the weaker members? Well, because they're easier to catch. They're slower, they may have injuries or something like that. And then the last part there is symbiosis. Symbiosis in an ecosystem, there are many relationships. Symbiosis is a close relationship between two different species in which one may be helped or harmed. What is combination or competition? Competition is the struggle for resources in the environment. For what could animals compete for? Well, they can compete for space, they can compete for food, they can compete for water, they can compete for mates. What would plants compete for? Nutrients in the soil, sunlight, water, those are the big ones. What is predation? Predation is the killing and eating of a prey organism for food. What is symbiosis? Symbiosis is a relationship between two organisms of different species in which at least one is benefited. Number 6. If predators kill more members of a prey population than are born in one season, how will this affect the population? Well, if you kill lots of the prey population will go down. What role does predation play in natural selection? Well, natural selection is all about passing the strongest rules, the strongest ones, on to the next generation. So predation causes the weaker animals to be killed off so that only the best survive. Well, ladies and gentlemen, that takes us to the end of today. Join us next time. We'll start talking about some more things in the environment, specifically types of symbiosis. Until then, be good, be safe. I'm Mr. Hescox. See you.